Sinbad rests on silken cushions with a full belly, surrounded by every luxury gold can buy. But this comfort breeds a restless greed. Despite having enough wealth for several lifetimes, the urge for profit drives him from his safe halls and back to the open sea. For 15 days, his merchant fleet enjoys calm weather and easy trading. Then, a massive gale strikes. Violent winds toss the ship off course, finally throwing them onto the shores of an unmapped, savage land. Before the crew can assess the damage, they are ambushed. An aggressive armada of spear-carrying apes swarms the boat, dropping directly from the coastal cliffs onto the wooden decks. The apes operate like a coordinated boarding party, immediately slashing the ship's rigging to kill its mobility. With the sails useless and the crew outnumbered, the merchants abandon the vessel and swim for their lives. Their pursuit of limitless wealth left them entirely exposed. Gold offered no protection in the water. In minutes, these masters of commerce are reduced to prey scrambling up the sand. Fearing the beach, the survivors flee inland. They spot a colossal stone fortress looming on a hilltop and rush through its massive open doorway, desperate for any form of refuge. Inside, a fire still smokes. The heavy smell of roasted meat hangs in the air, and scattered bones of a recent feast litter the ground. Exhausted, the men collapse, only to be jolted awake by rhythmic, heavy thuds. The ground shakes and the stone walls rattle as the castle's true owner returns. A monster of a man ducks through the entrance. He is as tall and broad as a date tree, with boar-like tusks, lion's claws, and eyes that burn like hot coals in the dim light. The giant bends down and grabs Sinbad. He hoists him up by the arm, squeezing his limbs like a butcher checking a sheep's weight. Finding Sinbad too lean from the voyage, the giant drops him and picks up a fatter crewmate to eat. As the giant falls into a heavy sleep, the men face the reality of their status. To this predator, they are livestock in a pen. While the giant snores, the remaining merchants fall into despair. They sit in the dark, pouring dirt into their hair and weeping as they wait to be eaten for breakfast. Sinbad refuses to accept this fate. He rallies the crew, telling them to stop mourning their deaths before they happen. He reminds them that the castle door remains wide open. They creep back down to the shoreline and make a discovery. The apes lacked any maritime skill, and the merchant's original, damaged ship has simply run aground in the shallows nearby. The crew shifts from victims to engineers. Working in pitch blackness by the light of the stars, they frantically repair the smashed hull, racing to make the vessel seaworthy before sunrise. Escaping an impossible trap requires this shift from passive fear to active engineering. Action is the only way to counteract the paralysis of the night. By dawn, the ship is ready to sail. The crew wants to flee immediately, but Sinbad insists they return to the castle to strike back at the monster. They sneak back into the lair. Using the giant's own cooking fire, the men take long wooden sticks, sharpen the ends, and harden the points in the heat. In a synchronized strike, the men approach the giant's face and plunge the glowing wood directly into his closed eyes. The monster wakes with a deafening roar. Blinded and shrieking, he stumbles through the cave, his massive hands groping the floor to catch his attackers as the men slip past him toward the shore. The crew sprints to the beach and launches the ship. As they set sail, 2 more giants appear on the cliffs, hurling boulders into the sea and nearly capsizing the boat. Blinding the giant served a tactical purpose beyond simple revenge. By removing his sight, they eliminated his ability to track their escape ship across the open water. The crew reaches a new island by mid-morning, but the safety is an illusion. A massive serpent drops from a tree, crushing one of the men. The woods are infested with giant snakes. As night falls, Sinbad is separated and trapped in the dark woods. He knows that sleeping in the open means certain death by constriction. He turns again to survival engineering. He binds tree branches together to build a tight wooden cage around his body, a wearable suit of armor against the snakes. Safe inside his wooden shell, he endures the night. At dawn, he marches to the beach, physically drained by the weight of his armor, until a passing ship finally spots him. Survival is a continuous loop of adaptation.
Escaping one predator merely brings the next into focus. Sinbad returns to the bustling docks of Bassorah. His merchandise was recovered from his original ship, and he sells his spices at a massive profit. Upon his return, Sinbad immediately redistributes a massive portion of his gold to widows and orphans, a sudden act of charity following the deaths of so many of his comrades. Remember the night on the beach. The ship was fully repaired, and the monster was asleep in a distant castle. They had a quiet, open path to freedom. Was Sinbad's decision to risk his crew to blind the giant a stroke of necessary justice?